What's up? It is July 10th, 2024, and I'm going to talk about a story time about Chicago, right? So I met this homeless guy. Well, I met a whole bunch of homeless people because I was out there vagabonding and being a transient, right? Because nothing goes according to plan. The whole point that I was even hit Chicago was to be on a mission so I can get my reports out, without getting stifled in the communication game, which I'm pretty sure they still stifle me because in my last thing I talked about how they were blocking me at Starbucks. And on top of that, they deactivated the Wi-Fi. Well, at least my phone was deactivated, you know, at the Union Station at one point that I had free Wi-Fi, right? And then Starbucks was deactivated because I had free Wi-Fi, right? And I caught the two people at Starbucks and the East Indian guy that was following me, right? Now, it's interesting about the East Indian. I seen him the next time I was heading back towards, because there's a whole bunch of Starbucks throughout Chicago. I stopped at one, and then he showed up at that one, right? I'm like, ain't no way, you know. But then that was the last time I had access to Starbucks, and Starbucks knows it's a network to where you sign up for it, it logs you, you get access to wherever you're going, you know. Starbucks wise, it automatically logs you into the Wi-Fi. So you tell me, all of a sudden, I'm not able to get access, and I'm to where my phone. I have two. I had this throwaway phone that I still got. It's only like $30 that I got in Montana, right? And then I got my Samsung S20 FE that's been compromised, but I still keep it because the fact that everything has a digital signature, right? Both of those don't have access. So you tell me who has that capability, all right? All right, so now let's talk about this special kind of homeless. So I met this guy, came across him twice. Going to the library, I was going far south to the library, right? Because if you're going to follow me, follow me. And I'm going to go everywhere, anywhere. And so I'm going to go some places I don't even need to go, just to walk one way, to turn back, and go back the other way to get to my original destination, right? Because that's how you catch these people, because they have to be attached to you. So the more random you is, when you don't even know what you're going to do, the more they're going to stick out, right? So either way I go to the library, come back. This is at night. I'm tired. Sit down. And this dude is like stationary in this bench. Like he staked it as his own. Because he literally got everything set up to where he doesn't look like he's going anywhere. So the first night, I ended up to asking, like, you crash down here or where do you crash out? Just asking basic questions. And then that whole process, I stayed there late just listening to him, observing him, talking to him. So the first night he was talking about spells amongst basic conversation. He was throwing these things in like spells. He was talking about like what else? 360 gods, like deities, right? He was talking about some Egyptian pyramid stuff. So now I'm thinking like this boy might be one of those society folks plant type deal, right? Because I'm looking at him like he a John Wick character, you know? Older guy. He told me he was 65, right? But was he? I mean, shit, you got the CIA running around where they can do silicone masks and everything. Was this guy really him? I don't know. The world's a stage. I don't care. But I'm just listening to what he's saying amongst hearing everything else he's saying, right? Some things I listen to, something I'm just hearing. But that night, so he's talking about that. He's talking about this. And then I just got late, so I ended up leaving, right? Now, amongst even all that, because I'm looking at what he was drawing. I said, are you a drawer? Before I left, because he was doodling. It looked like an hourglass. It was like some type of writing. It went into an hourglass and opened back up. He says notes and everything else like that. Okay. But, here's another thing he was also talking about amongst like spells, these deities, some Egyptian pyramid stuff. And then he was talking about like cancers, like everything else like that, because he was like an engineer and something else he was telling me about the history of Chicago amongst everything, what was in this park and everything else like that. This is a cordial conversation, right? But now the second day, I Bypassed him in the morning because I'm going back to the library. Coming back, he's still there because he ain't going anywhere. He's stationary. So I'm sitting there observing him. But before I even came over and talked to him, I was on the other end of the section of the park up underneath the tree. I just crashed out, went to sleep. Wake up, come over, see how he's doing. Now, all these people, I think they got out of some type of gang, or this is on the 3rd. And where they were going to, I think the Navy Pier for the fireworks. I think that might have been what it was. But I stayed there talking to him until like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? So anyways, here's all the interesting facts of me just talking to him and listening to him, right? So leading up into that, now he gives me this story on Amazon and what's privacy. Nobody has privacy anymore, you know? And where we go in the society, or does anybody have privacy because they're able to get access to your stuff? He was talking about being in apartments and having access. He gave me a story of Russia because he's like Russian and German or whatever. He has an accent. Is he, or is he acting? I don't know. Give the boy Academy Award if he isn't, right? To where somewhere in Russia they were able to access listen to people through their it was like a radio plug that they had to plug in a wall, but it was like a socket. If you think about American term, they was listening to people through sockets in this apartment complex that these Russian intelligence people set up a whole apartment complex so they can spy on all the neighbors, whoever's in these apartments, right? So I'm listening to him, I'm just like, okay. So he hit me with that privacy thing. Now, when he started talking about sealed court documents and everything, and I'm like, okay, because I'm dealing with these corrupt ass people in Montana through the Hertz rental that I have 5 months of payment on, confirmation, contracts, receipts, and on top of that, before I was even arrested, I had like $3,000. So it can't be not paying on the rental that I'm already paying 5 months. I was paying on the rental so long, I actually be entered into the rent to own program because in that community, my vehicle wasn't getting fixed, right? So when he's talking about that, I'm like, what court documents? And then, speaking of this Hertz rental court document, that's a bunch of bullshit too, because they dismissed it with prejudice, talking about there's not enough evidence. Dude, everything's on my side. I just told this new prosecutor, because they got rid of him, that I'm not making deals because he was trying to bar me from Montana. And then he's talking about no civil suits. And I'm like, dude, no, let's go to court. It becomes case law because y'all the criminals. And what do you got going on in that community? Not me, right? Then all of a sudden, bank account get closed out. All this dumb shit. So I'm just like, whatever. Game on, whatever. Because there's agencies that can bring you criminals in. So now I got a homeless guy talking about sealed court documents and everything else like that. I'm like, okay, what is it you know? Not to say homeless people can't have phones, but when I was observing him, he's scrolling through his phone, writing down some stuff, right? So now I'm thinking like, okay, did my emails get compromised from when I was trying to email, right? And then on top of that, we're talking like, that's what I'm thinking. So he's talking on that. And then as he's going back and forth amongst, Chicago history, and then he hits on stuff that I'm like, dude, how do you know what I'm talking about, right? Because then all of a sudden, 4 police cars just show up. And the first one is banging his high beams into our face. Well, I'm facing the car because they're driving up to go to the skate park, because I was on Roosevelt in Michigan, right? Go to the skate park. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm just like, okay, here we go, right? Fuckery. Which I don't care. Do you? So they go hit the skate park. All of a sudden, a lot of commotions happening. People's skateboarding up out of there. And then this motorcycle person comes up, like no headlights, just on this dirt bike, on some Florida type dirt bike type stuff. Got a female passenger, and they're talking about, man, they tried to grab me, da 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 da, right? And then the group comes out, man, I saw them try to grab you. And this group that was talking to the person on the dirt bike was like, man, that's that lynch mob. And then he goes like this. He said, yo, that's that lynch mob. They're looking for somebody. Right? So he still got these other the basic color of Chicago squad cars down in there. All of a sudden, it's an all black one. got the lights on, but this time they're facing where me and Sasha is, but they're on my backside, lights on us and everything. So Sasha all of a sudden brings up the fact of, oh, well, maybe they just coming next to us so they can scan our phones. And then I'm like, okay, dude, you're really on one, because running around in Chicago, I've been saying that. And these are my daily logs, not no video, just me doing the daily log to where, oh, did I burn that?
Oh, I came in, took it off.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I just smelled something burning down
Yeah, it's Cajun. I'm gonna see what I can do. Is, man, sitting there talking, burnt this quesadilla. I put it on real low, so anyways, with that said, bad boy seasoning, make it do what it do. But as soon as he said that the cops pulled up just to scan our phones, I was like, ain't no way, because I did a daily log audio of me talking about everything I was observing, everything that I was seeing while I was running around in Chicago, because I'm gonna get justice. But yet, what is it that's really being blocked? I'm just one person, but I think about all the people before me. They had to be running this corruption for a long time before it even got to me. But that's neither here nor there. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, dude, you definitely a John Wick plant. Because ain't no way you're going to be speaking on talking points, talking about they just probably pulled up just to scan our phones and everything else like that. So the police ended up leaving. Those dirt bike people ended up leaving and everything else like that. And I'm just sitting there still listening to Sasha, his name, and I mean, it was just a whole bunch of random conversation. But once he started hitting on that, I'm just like, right. And here's another thing when I said special kind of homeless too. Yeah, to where we're talking like a lady gave him $6. He complained. He flipped the $6 into the little bag of his. He's like, "What's $6? Most things cost $6.99, $6.59, and everything." Now, let's rewind. This first night that I met him, he had all this change just thrown out into the grass area in front of him. Right? And I'm thinking, like, dude, you're homeless. You throwing change away versus just taking that change, giving it to another homeless person that can add that change up, at least through my eyes, on how I look at it. Like, well, you know what? Everybody can't see through my lens, but I would think to give that change away because it'll add up for somebody else, right? But he just throws it in there. So when I see him just complaining about $6 for the person this lady gave him, and then I'm looking at everything like, okay, this is all gonna be some stage shit, because ever since I touched down, they were on me, right? I'm talking about, I always say they were just my security guards. Every time I see them posted up, whatever the case is, I just like, oh, there go my security, because the world's a stage. But here's an instance where this is 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a chess player out there. He told me he packs up at 12, but he stayed out there another 3 hours just because I was posted up on the corner where the bus stop was. And I was watching him, seeing how long he was going to stay. So once it came like 3:30ish, I ended up, I was like, you know what, I'm going to sleep. I hopped in the trash can, what I call a trash can, covered up, went to sleep. In that process, 3:30 in the morning, all of a sudden I hear helicopters. Now, if they got a flare, they can find me right away, which I don't care. But at the same time, in the morning, it was just two white people walking by. It was male, female. They were conversating. They literally said, well, they last seen them over by the porta potties, which I was last seen out. That's where I ended up going over to the porta potties to see if I could take piss or whatnot. But they were just pre-staged, locked up porta potties. So I'm thinking like, okay, why is it that they're talking about that? But that could have been just conversation because they already knew where I was at. To pretend like they didn't know where I was at, because anybody knows helicopter capabilities, they have the option of flares. It's not like I'm running around with a freaking ghillie suit to dampen my heat signature. It wasn't even nothing on like that, right? But instances like that where they already knew, and even in my last post, I talk about Mr. Burbank. I don't care And I'm not moved by the intimidation tactics or the fact that they're constantly blocking me communication wise from reporting. Motherfucker, if I need to train some goddamn pigeons to fucking show up on whoever agency's stoop with a goddamn note to their leg, I have to go that route. You know, 'cause, yo, my resolve, yeah, yo, yeah. Anyways, I'm out.